Welcome to a lesson with Lloyd, guys. A question that I and the rest of the team get 6 times a day, if not more, but it's a completely valid question. It is a wonderful question, is whether your Chieftain, Roadmaster, or your other Thunderstroke motor can get a 121, a 126, or a 131. You guys know that in order to get a 131, you have to purchase a new bike with us, either at our Charlotte location or a St. Paul location. But we get down to the nitty-gritty whether you can get a 121 or a 126. And in order to determine that, our team has to figure out if your bike is an early 2019 or older, or if it's a late 2019 or newer. And you're probably thinking, how the heck am I supposed to know that? And we have a little trick to figure it out. Our trick is to determine whether your dipstick is the size of a nickel or a quarter to a silver dollar sized. If it's little tiny like a nickel, that's an early 2019, and that means 121. If it is a quarter or larger size dipstick, that means that you get a 126.
Okay, so every time I show up with Amanda around with a camera, she says, oh, we got to do a video because I got these questions coming in. And I guess apparently she's got a lot of questions about early and late crankcases. So here we are, right? This is a set of late model crankcases that has the large oil fill stick in it, as you can see. And this here is the older set. Now the older set ranges from model year 14 to mid 19, somewhere in the middle. They have the smaller oil fill. Now on the inside, this isn't just the only change. On the inside of these, you can also see that there's significant differences between them inside. And of course they've changed some of the structure around the gear cases and internal oil passages, etc., etc. But what happens on the early ones, 14 to mid 19, is we have this little step right here. And that little step needs to be bored out in order to fit a 121 on it. And we only recommend a 121 for 14 to mid 19 motors because on this case half where the cams go in and the bearings are located, if we bore the cases, which would require a full bore of this piece and not just this last ½ inch, what it does is it makes the bearing structure pretty thin. And of course I don't like to compromise strength for power. So we kind of put a limit on the old cases only going to 121s. The newer cases, of course, they've been redesigned, as you can see. They have extra material in that area to compensate for the extra large bore size. This is a 126, and if we try to put a 126 on an older motor, of course, it's not going to go. Hits the cases because the bore isn't big enough. We can take a 126 on a new, and it plops right in, along with 131 also. So that is the biggest deciding factor of what big bore kit is going to ultimately end up on your bike, depending on what year it is. This, on the 14s, pretty easy. The other thing that comes into play, it's easy enough to bore it. We sell a bore fixture to do it with a ½ inch drill. Takes some cleaning afterwards, but it doesn't have to go to the machine shop for any extensive, crazy setup time. What happens on the older ones also is that we need to upgrade the rods, of course, because they had weak rods. There's a couple choices on rod upgrades, and they are model year 20 and up rods, which are a pretty substantially stout rod, can handle somewhere in the neighborhood of about 175 horsepower, or the Carrillo rods that are forged and shot peened that come in the 116 kit and can also be purchased separately also on the Stage 3 116 kit. Those are a far lighter rod, but also a lot more expensive. So the retail cost on a 2020 rod is about $300 and change for the pair. The retail cost on the kit rod, the forged shot peened rod, is about $1,600. So we do, and they both will handle approximately the same power levels. Of course, we haven't broke either one of them to test it, but that's what I hear that they're rated for. So basically, in a nutshell, these are the differences between the cases of your motorcycles, and that ends up being the deciding factor on what bore size we'll be able to put in your bike.
To sum it up, y'all, early 2019 or older, your dipstick is going to be about the size of a nickel. If it's a later 2019 and newer, your dipstick's going to be in between a quarter and a silver dollar, bigger than a nickel. So that is our little trick. If you still have questions, feel free to email me a picture of your dipstick. No funny business from your bike, but that has been a lesson by Lloyd, and if you guys need anything at all, you let us know.
Okay, boys and girls, today we're going to start our training in crankcases. What are you laughing about? Bill Nye over here. Bill Nye, the science guy.